Gun violence continues to play out on the city streets. This new surveillance video obtained by Pix 11 News shows the recklessness. It's around 10:30 Sunday morning. You can see a gunman fatally shooting a 31-year-old man in the lobby of the Langston Hughes houses in Brownsville. Sources tell us this gunman even checking out his weapon in the elevator of the building minutes before the crime. What happened here has been happening since the start of the holiday weekend. Police are looking into several shootings so far, including in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Shortly before midnight Sunday, a 53-year-old man was shot dead. Then minutes later in East Flatbush, a man was shot and killed, police say, while standing on the street. In Williamsburg, gunshots left a man wounded, and 3 people were hit by bullets, also in Brownsville. They are expected to survive. While most of the bloodshed happened in Brooklyn, police say this is a citywide issue, and no neighborhood is immune.
It's a scary reality that it can happen to anyone at any time, and you can't let it inhibit your life, but it's always a fear that isn't necessary.
Crime traditionally rises during the summer months. That's why Mayor Eric Adams announced a new plan to crack down on crime a few weeks ago. His plan puts more officers on the streets and in the subway system. Still longtime resident A.J. Mirzad, he tells us he's prepared to move if things don't change soon.
I do worry that it may get worse. You know, if it does get worse, I could see people fleeing out of it, myself included.
Last year, during the same time period, 632 people were shot. So far this year, 591 people have been victims of gun violence. And although the numbers reflect a slight decrease, some New Yorkers believe it will take more than just the mayor's plan, including beefing up patrols at night around the city to get change. That this is bigger than police visibility.
It's too easy to get guns, you know. I think if we get people to get background checks and for there to be a proper system in place, I think that will help. Yeah, I just think it's getting in the wrong hands. Yeah.
That man is right, and police say so far today it's been quiet, but it's still very early. If you have any information on the shootings we've been talking about, call Crime Stoppers. The number's 800-577-TIPS.
United States. The mass shooting that killed 19 children in Texas sent shockwaves across the world. It brought America's gun laws and gun culture back into focus. The U.S. has the highest firearm death rate among high-income countries. And why is that? It is because U.S. gun laws are the most relaxed in the world. Every state in the U.S. has different gun laws. Some states, like Texas, don't even require gun licenses, even for fully automatic weapons like the AR-15. The only other countries to have similar exceptions are Yemen, Ethiopia, and Switzerland. The Swiss exception is not for all types of weapons. Automatic weapons are banned for all Swiss civilians, but that's not the case in the US. In America, usually only a federal background check is required for a sale, unless it's a private sale. A friend or family member or even anyone online can sell guns without a background check. So how does it compare to gun laws across the globe? Well, let's start with the United Kingdom. The UK has very strict gun laws. The handguns in general are banned. Military-style weapons such as the AR-15 used in the school are strictly prohibited. The other types of firearm, there is a strict procedure. First, a person must give a good reason to want to buy a gun. That means a job requirement or sport. Self-defense is not considered a good reason. A gun license is required and must be renewed every 5 years. Anyone found flouting gun laws faces a mandatory minimum of 5 years prison sentence. These strict laws came after a 1996 school shooting in Scotland. Now coming to Australia, which has similar laws. Background checks and storage requirements are similar. A course on firearm safety and operation is mandatory. There are different gun permits for different gun types, not a blanket gun license. Australia also has a minimum waiting period of 28 days. Australia's laws came in response to a mass shooting in Tasmania in April of 1996. Canada too banned most firearms in 1998, but people who had registered the weapons before the ban were allowed to keep them. Today, Canadians need to complete a safety course and pass written and practical tests. They need to provide character references, pass a background check, apply for a permit, and wait for the next 28 days. Then register any handgun they bought with the police before taking it home. Same thing for Germany. Prospective owners need to pass an exam. People under 25 need to provide a mental fitness certificate. Gun storage needs to be according to safety standards. Gun permits are for specific guns, not blanket ones. French gun laws also require licenses. Applicants need to be affiliated with shooting ranges. They need to have taken at least 3 shooting lessons. They need to have a medical certificate. Gun licenses need to be renewed every 5 years. Now, in 2019, the firearm deaths per 100,000 people in the US was 4,116. That same year, the rate in Japan was 0.016. The UK was 0.039, Australia 0.177, France 0.315, and Germany at 0.083. One of the reasons could be the sheer number of guns in the US. In 2017, there were 120.5 guns per 100 people there. The next highest number of guns per 100 people was Yemen with 52.8. Yemen, a country that has been fighting a civil war since 2014. Next were Montenegro and Serbia, both with 39.1. These countries are in historically volatile Balkan countries. Now, the US likes to believe it's the leader of the free world, but perhaps this is one area where they may want to take a back seat.
All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all the brothers and a few sisters out there, onto the Israelite foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in Hebrew, which means peace. It's a quick show through the spirit of Ba'Hashem Yahushua. I find this intriguing newscast that was a couple of days ago. Like maybe Friday, Saturday, whenever I put this up. It was the week before, and I wanted to showing it, and it so happened that I was going through something. The elder brother Malcolm, I had put up a video where a guy was talking about this as well, and I was like, yo, look at that. And also in the book of Satan's Angels Exposed, it told you the same thing. And pretty much what she was basically saying, that the rest of the world seems safer than America because the rest of the world is disarmed. All right, that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say America is the most violent place in the world because it is armed. America is the most violent place in the world. That's correct, because America is Babylon the Great. But what they're leading to is this particular card, and they'll be playing it. And long one, I'll put the other thing that I seen today, because we in a Memorial Day weekend, and all over New York City, there's been mass murders, and it's normally Negroes, Latinos that's killing each other, but now more than ever, which those of us that grew up in the type of environments, you already know it gets hot, and people start dropping dead, not naturally. But that became like a thing of a norm. But why they stressing out something right now? Because they're trying to get this thing going. They're trying to get this gun control situation situated so that way people could be disarmed. Like that would be the final solution of everything. I always say two things. The Constitution gives right to bear arms, also speech. These two work hand in hand. They're together. You cannot have the other one fight. If you take one, the other one is going to be affected, and you might as well take away. And this is what they're trying to do. It says increase the power of all violent governments. And the most violent government in the world, always has been, is America. All right? That's not by accident. The numbers are probably correct. Because all those other places that you made mention of, or Esau, the UK, Australia, they're already full-blown New World Order. All right? They're already full-blown. So it's just a matter of time for here. There's something else I wanted to bring out, but it'll come to me again. But yeah, this is exactly what they're trying to do. It's all about gun control, which is quite obvious, to the point where you can't even have a handgun to protect yourself. And why they doing that? It says Mark 3:25, if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. So right now, we're seeing the house is being divided. They continuously going after these rifles. All right, even to the handguns. Now, I believe I saw something today when it was making mention that Biden wants to go after the handguns. So how are people going to protect themselves? They want. That's another thing too. See, a lot of things be happening. A lot of things being make mention is on his spirit. But talking to the beloved brother Amu Gabar, and we discussed how the CIA owns pretty much Hollywood. And every disaster movie, every movie pretty much that deals with something, a catastrophic thing, who's always the good guys? People in uniform. All right, the military. So people will have you believe that people in the military are the good guys. They to end all the problems. Watching the American Blackout, people they played a part with people that were dressed like the military, and they almost got. Or was it the other one? It was one of the other. It was the other one. It was called. I forgot what it was called. But you had the American Blackout, and there was another one. It was pretty good as well. All right, but a kingdom that's really divided against itself, it can never stand. It says, and no man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first ban the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. So, meaning what? He's going to take your strength from you. It's impossible to fight, to take somebody's stuff when they can defend themselves. In this case, we're talking about arms. We're talking about guns. All right, the modern day sword. If you cannot rob a man that's got a whole bunch of guns in his household. You get killed. So the best way they deem to do it is by law. All right, by law. And it says, "Verily I say unto you, all." Well, that was the point with that one. So you gotta bind the strong man. And there's another one. This one was good, but Luke, I always like that one. It says, "When a strong man," Luke 11:21, "when a strong man armed keepeth his palace, his goods are in place. But when the stronger than he, which would be in this case would be the government, shall come upon him and overcome him, he taketh from him all his armor, wherein he trusted, and divided spoils." So there you go. They plan to disarm the people and take all these people's spoils. And what did that guy called Swap said? If I'm saying his name right, he said, "You will own nothing and you will love it." Okay? And the best way to get people to feel safe is by removing certain things, instruments that makes them individuals. And that's what they're doing right now. And this is the last straw. Okay? It's verse 23. "He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scatter." And there's another one. Yeah, actually, I think that was it. That was the one. All right, so they're trying to disarm everybody, which is like that stupid commercial with Captain Obvious. All right. I believe there was another one, but I could be wrong. Let's try Revelations. No, that's not the one. I'm sorry. I there it is. It's the same thing. The Lord said it, but Matthew 12 and 29, or else any said, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods except he first bind the strong man? I mean, yep. So when you look up the word bind, tie, fasten. So how do you plan to fasten or tie these people? Are they physically going to do that? No. Which actually the second one says it all. It says to bind, put under obligation of the law, duty. So what laws they passing, man? They passing laws to remove the guns, to remove handguns, rifles. All right, that's how they doing it. Which leads me to the wow. Micah 2:1. It says, woe to them that deviseth iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So they want to remove all sorts of ways of people protecting themselves so that they could come in, bind these people, which they binding them up by their laws, right? If you want to be a regular citizen, and anybody that's illegal that have these things, they're coming for you. And they when they come, they're gonna come with full prejudice, meaning they're gonna come with full force. But there's gonna be a lot of resistance. So they need the citizens to snitch on one another. They're gonna need a lot of help because they're playing on the strings of the hearts of people to have them believe this is the best solution. Showing that this devil is masterful with everything that he does. And all he's doing is disarming the world. So he himself, I believe, oh man, let me see if I can find it. That's another show in itself. But I took a picture of, and there it is. This is a picture of Satan's Angels Exposed, page 172. And the last verse, it says, Pluto advised a three-class structure of society: the ruling class, the military class, and the working class. Now remember that Pluto did not live in the 21st century. He was a Greek philosopher who lived at the beginning of the 4th century. But look at the three classes of people that they have. Now, according to Revelations, the 13th chapter, is going to be two classes of people. But who's in between? The military. So they want to make it where only the military is going to be able to have arms, while the rest of the people is going to be disarmed. Which is a masterful plan. And it's working because there's people, but actually it's verse 2. It says that covet fields. And what's the field? The field is the world. They covet, I mean, they want to take people's stuff and take them by violence. And they took in the world by violence. They took in lands by violence. And they want to do it again in houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage, which they have done it before and they plan to do it again. And this is why America is the most violent place in the world. Ezekiel 35. It says Ezekiel 35, and I want to go to the point. This is further up. (35:5). It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. That's going into when the Babylonians took down Israel, that you had Edomites that was aiding the Babylonians to take us down. All right, because they had a perpetual hatred. They had a hatred from forever. That's what perpetual means. But verse 6, therefore as I live, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. See if that has not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So that's why when that woman made that statement about how violent America is, and even with this passing holiday weekend, how violent everything is, it shows you that blood is pursuing this devil. All right, this is the most cursed land in the world, proving that once again this is Babylon the Great. So since they love shedding blood, all right, because you had the whole entire May Day, what do you call it, the Feast of the Beasts, and all this other stuff. A lot of sacrifices, a lot of blood being shed. All right, and they're going to continuously shed blood until they get the results that they want. The Lord said that blood is going to pursue them. And that's what the scripture says this. I'm going to end it off on this particular scripture. It says, Revelations 18 and 21. And the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone. That great millstone is abundance of missiles, all right, ICBM nuclear missiles, heading to the shores of America. There it says, and cast it into the sea meaning the people, this land, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down. So how was America established? It was established by violence. All right, it was established by violence. It was continued with violence throughout its entire inception. So with great violence, this place is going down. So prior to this end piece, Second Ezra is going to come along. All right, Second Ezra is the 15th chapter. Second Ezra is the 16th chapter. Jeremiah the 50th chapter, and so forth. There's going to be great violence taken in the streets. And one of the main things that's going to cause that violence, all right, is them going after the arms of the people, which is going to lead a lot of people defenseless, which is going to lead into a lot of civil war, class wars, all right. But then it's not going to stop. It's going to get to the point where this is the end. This particular verse is the end of it all. All right, the top of all the violence. So there ain't going to be no peace. There's not going to be a peaceful time. The little time that we have now is that's about it. Because it's going to be a whole world of mass destruction. It's going to be a whole world of hurting. To a point where people are going to be dying for some sort of great normalcy when nobody's going to be killed. But it's all going to lead to that end. That great violent end. Alright? So with that being said, I hope you brothers edify. Shalom to the elected and nation. Shalom.